What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly live right here with the Takedown on SI on YouTube. How's it going, folks? I'm Zach Haydorn, and that's Blake Lovell. We are your hosts. Blake, dude, what's going on, man?
What's happening, Zach? Yeah, another fun-filled week in the world of pro wrestling. We've got a big title change in WWE to talk about. We got a swap from AEW to WWE, an unexpected one we did not expect to be talking about. So, yeah, kind of a noteworthy week.
It sure is. And the fact that TNA's premiere on AMC is like fifth,
Forgot about
sixth,
that.
seventh. I'm not sure what that says, but that's happening too. We'll touch on that a bit. But dude, you hit the nail on the head. We have a new undisputed WWE champion. His name is Drew McIntyre. The title change went down on SmackDown inside a 3 Stages of Hell match, not without shenanigans and controversy. Jacob Fatu getting involved in the match, I guess, on behalf of both guys. We'll talk all about that. But let me ask you first, like, what do you think of Drew McIntyre as undisputed champion right now? That call to go with him now ahead of, what is the road to WrestleMania that's going to kick off here in about a couple weeks at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I tend to sort of be hesitant to answer that these days based off of what WWE gave us last year around this time. And the reason I say that is, like, it's a big moment for Drew McIntyre. There's no question. But also, like, maybe forgive me if I'm a little pessimistic as to where we go next, because I don't know, right? It feels like a big moment, but it also does, again, shake up things considerably on the road to WrestleMania. And so now I think I'm kind of curious to see where they go, which SmackDown on Friday I think will give us a pretty clear idea, although I think I know where we're headed, right? It is one where I would expect you're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, and where they go from there I think will be interesting. I don't think Sami's winning the title just yet. Could be wrong on that, but I don't know if they're going to have it move that quickly, right? So there's a lot of ways you can go with this, and if there's one thing I will say, the positive, like, it does add some unpredictability to the whole thing, and I think that's what WWE needed more than anything right now, because like we said before, like, every week just kind of feels like it's the same thing at times, and
yeah,
bravo for the unpredictability, Zach, I'll say that, but I'll take the wait and see approach on this one, see how it plays out.
Yeah, just like anything, I think it's responsible to, it's all in the follow-up, right? When you talk about pro wrestling booking and angles like this. But I'm with you. I like the title change for the sheer fact that it kind of keeps SmackDown on edge for a while. And with the belt around Cody Rhodes' waist, as important as that is, and I'll get to that in a minute, but you kind of just could figure out how things were going to go when he's the champion. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the title change here and now with Drew does certainly add unpredictability into the mix for at least the next few weeks here, if not longer than that. I was like overall, I was just kind of a little ho-hum about the title change. And it's not because I don't like Drew McIntyre, and it's not because I don't think Drew McIntyre is doing some of the best work of anybody in WWE, because I think he is. But it's a crowded scene at the top, of WWE right now. I mean, you've got CM Punk there. You've got Roman Reigns, who's going to be around there. You've got Cody, who's going to be around there. You've got Gunther, who just beat John Cena, who needs to be around there. Brock Lesnar is presumably going to be in the plans for WrestleMania. And when you start, taking all those people into consideration, and then you toss in Drew McIntyre because he now has the world title, it just kind of it crowds it even further. Whereas if you had Cody as champion going into WrestleMania, there's matches for him to do there. You can do Roman Reigns again. Not a ton of people love that, but that was an option. You could do Gunther. That's a huge match. You could do CM Punk. That's a huge match. And now it's like there has to be other huge matches for those guys if Drew McIntyre is going to roll into WrestleMania as champion. The other thing I think is I don't know. Call me old school, but it just kind of felt like now's the time to just roll with Cody. And you know, now you have a situation where he's not champion. He's a little undefined because he's going to be going after Jacob Fatu, who I think the fans really like in the end. Jacob Fatu is a little wishy-washy because he attacked Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes in a matter of like 5 seconds. So I think the negative of this like kind of builds on the positive, which is, yes, it's unpredictable, and it's also undefined as far as how we're supposed to feel about everything that went down in that finish to that title match.
Yeah, and others have brought this up too. And what you don't want to do is, okay, we decided to make this swap to add more unpredictability, and we're going to ride McIntyre all the way to WrestleMania. But you don't want Drew McIntyre opening up WrestleMania and it's Cody versus Roman Reigns or Cody versus whoever, not for the title in the main event, right? That is what you don't want, because I think that would just feel like, well, then why did you ever change it in the first place? Like, I've seen people saying, well, even if Cody and Roman were to still happen, well, it doesn't need the title. I don't disagree with that, but why would you not have the title? Like, it just makes it more meaningful, right? So I just, I think it's one of those where, again, the follow-up is going to be important. And also, too, I think how McIntyre won, I didn't love it. Like, I just did not love the way that it played out. I mean, again, old school approach, like, anytime anyone ever gets in a cage that's not in the actual match, like, I'm probably going to push back on it a little bit. I understand how it happened and they tried to protect it a little bit, but I don't know. Like, the whole Jacob Fatu thing, you know, that's the thing to me, is like, Jacob Fatu doesn't feel anywhere near the level he was kind of at the height of, you know, maybe when he came in, like the solo stuff, like all that. There was a much stronger reaction at that point, right? And I think you can say the same thing for Drew McIntyre, which is why for me, I'm like, this felt like it was a couple months too late for all the reasons you and I have mentioned over the past couple months, right? It's just like, how many times are you going to do this? And eventually, like, well, yeah, McIntyre had to win eventually, but was it too late? We're going to find out, because, again, it's all what they do from here. But like I said, I feel like the domino effect's pretty clear right now for McIntyre. I don't know what it is for Cody, other than just going to Jacob Fatu and doing that match or somehow having him in the Rumble. Maybe that's how it goes, but I feel like they're setting a pretty clear direction that for the Fatal 4-Way, I'm trying to remember if I got all the competitors right here, you would have to assume it's going to be Orton versus Sammy versus Trick versus Damian Priest. I would think are going to be your 4 winners of the kind of play-in matches on SmackDown. And then again, it's Saturday night's main event, Montreal. You would assume Sammy's going to win. He wins, goes to the Royal Rumble to face Drew in Saudi Arabia. Like, it's a great arc for Sammy here. But you know what? I'll say the same thing, Zach. Like, I'm not trying to be down here, but, you know, I feel like the Sammy world title run thing also took a step back over the past 6 months, to where you're just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel that's the thing, is I feel like all these guys are in a position now that you were kind of clamoring more for 4 to 6 months ago. And it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of the timing, I think, is interesting of all this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you do that Sami Zayn match, I kind of predict, I mean, the Montreal connection is obviously one to watch with Sami Zayn. And I didn't even fully, that didn't register with me until you just said it, because it just seems to me that, like, if you're building up Sami Zayn to a big championship win, or even just a championship match, like, and you take the belt off of Cody, it just seems to me that you should do that match at WrestleMania with Drew McIntyre. Like, that should be a WrestleMania match. So I had the early pick of Randy Orton as the winner of this Fatal 4-Way thing, because Orton versus Drew, big enough match for, you know, a Royal Rumble, right? Like that, where you don't need your world title matches to kind of carry the show, but it's marquee enough because it has Orton in it and it has Drew in it, and it's in Saudi Arabia, and you know, Saudi Arabia always loves Randy, so you can pull that off there. Plus, if you do that, then you have Sami Zayn in the Royal Rumble, and that, I think, that's money for you if you're WWE, because you've got that underdog in it, and he's fighting for his shot at the title. And if you just don't play your cards right, you lose kind of access to all of those things, including Cody as champion. So it was an interesting call. The finish of the match, I like the finish from the perspective of, well, it's what a heel would do, right? Like totally just kind of slinky out of the ring and win the title, and then act like, oh, they conquered the world. Like I think that there's heat there. What I didn't like about it was when you go back and watch, Drew McIntyre is treated like a, babyface champion when he wins that match. Yeah. I mean, they're not selling it on commentary. The crowd's cheering him. The referee's holding up his arms. It's like, you have to tell that story on the show. You have to tell the story on the show that, yeah, Drew McIntyre won the match, and he did win by the rules, but he also won because Jacob Fatu was in there beating up Cody Rhodes. Like that's a key piece. That's where the heat is. If you want there to be heat on Drew's title win, and I thought they completely missed the boat on telling that story correctly and in a way that's actually going to get people to react negatively to Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, you said it like earlier, defined. Like when you leave it this open-ended, I don't think anybody wins. Like, I think you're just kind of in a situation where, like, well, we're just going to let people react how they want to react. And I don't, like you said, it felt like, okay, McIntyre was the person coming out of this with the most momentum in terms of fan support. How did we get there when you had Cody and Jacob Fatu, who were getting some of the loudest reactions, right? I don't know. I didn't love the way it came off. But again, I mean, how quickly, or I guess how long ago was this decision made? That's what I'm curious about. Because, there were reports out there that Cody and McIntyre made the pitch to make the swap. Did they just decide that, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to see what happens? I can't imagine when you're talking about WrestleMania season that you're just making that kind of decision on the fly. But I don't know. It does. Like the Cody versus Jacob Fatu match just feels like a lose-lose to me. If, again, you're kind of signaling toward that, or you just put them in the Rumble. But either way, I don't know that that's something that feels like it's necessary or why it kind of the purpose it serves. But, again, maybe that's part of the bigger story.
Could be. And I mean, they got to tell it. More on this in a second, but let's set the table here for the show. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly, and this is the Takedown on SI, our YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to those of you who are joining the chat. Atlasphere's in there. We'll get to some of their comments. Sean's in there. We'll get to some of his comments as well. Appreciate you guys being here and everybody else who's joining us live on YouTube. We're live with this show every single Thursday at 12 Eastern. So Thursday afternoon, 12 Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, right here, talking just the news of the week in pro wrestling and big happenings and big events, and with you, taking your questions, your comments, your rants and raves. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do that. Hit subscribe. We've got all sorts of cool stuff that hits the channel on a regular basis all throughout the week, including interviews with some of the biggest names in pro wrestling. I'll have an interview dropping soon with Booker T. We talk a lot about his commentary style in NXT and a multitude of other topics. So check that out really, really soon. Also, if you can help us out and just hit the thumbs up button on this and like the video. It helps us kind of grow. It helps us reach new eyes, and we certainly appreciate it. I've got super chats enabled if you guys want to contribute to the show and toss a couple dollars in the tip jar. That would help greatly, and we do appreciate it. We'll make sure to get to any and all super chat questions, comments, and what have you during our next 30, 40 minutes here. With that said, you mentioned Jacob Fatu. And what confused me about kind of the way they they brought him back here, it kind of goes along with what Sean said in the chat here. Sean says, "What's up, guys? Drew winning was fine, but the finish sucked in the sense of Fatu. Why is he coming in now, and is he a face or a heel? I pray that they tell that story." Listen, I thought the same thing. I was like, Jacob Fatu coming back and getting involved and maybe accidentally costing Cody the match, or just going so wild on Drew that, Cody that he knocks Drew out of the cage or something like that. Yeah. I think would have made more sense here, because then he's clearly defined as somebody that's going after Drew McIntyre, and that's a fun match. Drew against Fatu for the world title. I think that's a good match, especially right now, Royal Rumble season. But then he turns around and he hits Cody, and so it's like you had this guy who left when he was injured, and he was sizzling, like he was just piping hot as this kind of up and coming, just kind of intense, aggressive babyface. Gets a big WrestleMania win this year, and it's like you had him work with Solo Sikoa, who was like a big heel on SmackDown, and now why kind of neuter that babyface momentum by putting him in there and having him fight the biggest babyface in the company in Cody Rhodes? I didn't get the strategy there.
So we've still got this big reveal, right, of who attacked Jacob Fatu. And I mean, I kind of forgot about it. That may be the negative side of this. I mean, it just kind of feels like it's a throwaway segment and you just kind of forget. But I'm going to assume they tie the story into that, where it just seems so obvious that it was Drew McIntyre, but now that they tease it was Cody, all those things, like, it's WWE. They love the whodunits. Like, they're going to run with this probably for a little bit. But still, like you said, I don't love it, man. I think the Jacob Fatu aspect of this thing is, again, if you just kind of look at the trajectory, yes, he's being more involved. You know, he's out of the solo sphere. But, like, I didn't think the solo sphere was that bad for him. Again, when you talk about the crowd reaction and all this other stuff, because he had a very defined role there. Whereas this, you're kind of playing 50-50 with him and Cody, and you just don't know exactly how people are going to react. And again, the way they did it, it's kind of, I don't know. But I'm willing to wait and see, because I think we'll know a lot more on SmackDown tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, look, you can promo your way out of this for sure. I mean, you can have Jacob Fatu cut a promo, and I mean, it can be as simple as, hey, I'm looking for who took me out, and I don't know who it is, and everybody in my way, or anybody that's possible is going down, you know, while I try to figure this out. Okay, that works for Jacob Fatu. Mm-hmm. We saw that back with this guy back here, back when he came back from the neck injury, the whodunit on who hit him with the car, right? He was beating up babyface's heels, didn't matter, but he put context around that. That's why it was important. I think Fatu can do the same thing here. What happens with Cody Rhodes now that he lost the title? You know, how assuming that he's going to be in a major match at WrestleMania, because why would you assume otherwise? How do you get him to one now that he doesn't have the title, assuming he doesn't get it back? I mean, I guess he could win it back before WrestleMania, but you know, that would suck for Drew.
That is my thinking here, is that if you're asking me like what percentage like each scenario gets, I think him winning it back from Drew is the highest percentage of any of the other scenarios before we get to WrestleMania. Because I'm trying to think of this, and I know it seems like it's like a long-term thing with Drew here, but who is he facing at WrestleMania? If it's not Sami Zayn, like you said, but I'm just like,
it'd have to be Sami, right?
Like, it would have to be. That's your only other option. Because like, I don't know what other match for Drew makes sense. If you're talking about like selling it as, and this is again my point though, is Drew versus Sami going to main event one of the nights of WrestleMania?
I don't think so.
When you and see, that's my issue with it, is that if you're going to have Sami Zayn, which I mean, I guess you could say they kind of did the exact same thing with Jay last year.
Yeah, seriously.
Like,
yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like, are they just going to do the redo where it's the same setup, the same situation, where you open up night one, Sami wins the title just like Jay did last year, and somehow that connects into a story? You know, somehow that may be what they do. But the problem is, again, like, I tend to think that Cody versus Reigns is not completely off the table. And the reason why is, like, what else do you do with him? Like, because Brock's got to be somewhere, right?
Yep.
And Brock's got to be fit into the picture. You've got CM Punk versus Braun Breaker again. Is that how we set this up? Is that the thinking? You've got a lot of moving parts here where again, and that's why like I'm not against the idea of Drew winning the title, but it's like you have now really spread out your potential big matches to where I see, and I know Adam says Cody versus Roman doesn't need the title, but I'm just like, why not?
It doesn't.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it doesn't need the title. I've obviously I agree with that. You could do that match without it. However, Roman has already put it on the line that he wants the championship back. So, like, if he comes out now and doesn't have a title match, it's kind of like, okay, well, what was he talking about? What was the point of that? And that just makes I think you, and this again, maybe I'm old school. Maybe this is get off my lawn thinking, but like, to me, you want your big matches at WrestleMania to have the world title involved. Not always. I realize there's shades of gray in that for sure. But Cody and Roman, like, that's not a Legends match at this point. That's a now match. That's for now and wanting to be the best now. And I think if you just have those guys just go, we don't want the world championship, we'll just fight each other. Like, I think it has more depth if it has the world title. I believe you on that. Sean says here, stop with your Cody hate, Adam. Adam, good to see you, by the way. Glad you're joining us live and appreciate you. And I want to also Sean says here, Zach, I'm a little sore over my Packers, but I'm rooting for you guys. I'm not one of those people that hates the Bears. I don't like them, but Caleb still has continued to prove himself. That was one heck of a game. I don't know if you saw it, Blake.
No, it was. Yes. NFL had a great start to the wild card round.
They did. They really did.
Not so much the last couple, but yeah. I think, look, if I'm picking Cody's opponent, right, and I'm ranking the top three, I think it's very clear. It's either Roman Reigns, it is CM Punk, or it's Drew McIntyre again. And I'm like, who else? Who else is there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just don't, and I just can't see the Punk one happening. I just don't see the McIntyre one happening because we're just not going to do that again at WrestleMania. And so, Cody, I mean, yes, like Randy Orton, okay, I will throw that into the mix. But like the Oba one, we're not getting Cody versus Oba. Why? We just saw that and we got a terrible finish. Like, I don't love that idea without the title. Now, if Cody wins the title back, then sure. If you want to go all the way and do Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi for the title and have Oba be like the new guy, if that's how high they are on this guy, do it. Take a shot. But I just like Randy Orton, I guess, is the only other one. It is a ready-made feud, but I also think that needs the title. I don't know, Zach. I'm just like,
what? Okay, real quick. What? We are getting a lot of Cody hate in the chat right now. Adam is kind of hating on Cody. We got Atlas Fear calling Cody a boring wrestler. Like it, I hear you guys, and obviously you guys feel how you feel. That's how it is. I don't think though, Blake, that is a broad opinion of Cody Rhodes right now. I don't feel like we are, we are watching like an overpushed babyface Cody Rhodes like we were Roman Reigns in 2016 or 2017. Like, this isn't that. He's still very much over as a strong babyface. And even though there's a vocal minority out there that think otherwise, I think you still have a lot of runway with him to do interesting matches and big business at WrestleMania and elsewhere.
Here's the problem if you do Cody versus Randy. I don't think there's anything Randy Orton could do to Cody Rhodes that would not make him more cheered than Cody right now. He could punt Cody in the head 10 times, and you'd get one more time chance.
Yeah.
And you know why?
Yeah.
It's WWE's own problem because Cody had a terribly booked 2025, I thought. Look at what happened last year at WrestleMania. Just made him look like a complete fool in the match against Cena.
Travis Scott.
He bounces back. I'd say at SummerSlam, it felt like he's finally back to where he needed to be. But what's happened since then? It literally was the same thing over and over with Drew McIntyre. And I think, again, that sort of repetitive nature that many times, of beating Drew that many times before we finally got there, I think that hurt Cody a little bit from just a fan perspective standpoint. Still a strong babyface, but I think the fans, that was like, at some point we need to see something different. And also, I think it's just this era, right? I mean, they're probably back in the day we're calling for, well, I just want to see this guy turn heel. But like, Zach, in this era where it's like social media and all that, like, we don't necessarily want to wait on stuff. Like, we're okay with just, hey, let's get some big shows out here. All right, let's have this guy turn this week, then turn the next week. Like, give us something different. And I think that's the thing is like Triple H, there is some old school tendencies to just kind of keep people in the same spot for a very lengthy amount of time and be the same person, right? Remember, think about like all the little character tweaks that Cody was doing in 2024 and then early 2025. But it's like that John Cena thing just completely, I mean, he did some of the stuff with Orton in the last match where he's taking advantage of Orton's back and they're teasing the heel turn and all this. But at a certain point, again, like you're giving us so many mixed signals that you don't really, like I think the Cena thing just completely hurt Cody. And the follow-up with McIntyre for all those months, I don't think helped him at all. So
Adam says in the chat here, Cody probably pushes kids down when nobody's looking. Oh, Adam, I love it. Thank you. All right, well, we're going to continue to follow this story, obviously. This is a big one. This is a big one, not just, for SmackDown on a week-to-week basis, but it obviously has major ramifications for what's going to happen in WrestleMania here in not that long a time. So we will we'll stay on this and we'll make sure to talk about it all throughout the next couple months right here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks to Sean Atlasphere, Adam, and everybody else who's joining us live in the chat. Appreciate you guys. We're here live with this show every single Thursday. So subscribe, turn on your notifications so that you know when we go live and so that you know when we drop other great content on the channel too, which we do almost every single day. All right. Let's we're going to talk AEW here in a second. But before we do that, I want to just quickly chat about TNA. TNA tonight on AMC is their premiere episode of Impact as part of a multi-year deal with them where TNA is going to be running their programming on AMC. So a little bit of a lot bigger of a channel and bigger network than Access TV. So my question for you, Blake, is does anybody care? Does anybody care? Yes, they're going to be in front of a lot more eyes potentially, right? But you still need to have those eyes turn on the show. And that's the part where I get hung up. I look at this card and I'm like, yeah, AJ Styles is on it, but he's not wrestling. Frankie Kazarian is the champion and he's defending the title, but I think it'd be better to have a white hot Mike Santana as champion leading off the show instead of a boring Frankie Kazarian. And then after that you've got kind of like some mid to undercard trios matches. It's not a stacked card for what is a huge night in your company's history.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the preview for the Takedown SI for the show, and I was just going through it, and I'm like, is this it? Like, is this the card? Because I had to double check and stuff. Because I hadn't had a chance to watch TNA every week. I'll jump in when I can, but I haven't had a chance to watch it every week. Will I watch it more now? Probably, just because I'm intrigued by the new era. Yeah. But I just think it's kind of one where, look, there's two reasons I think people are really disinvested in this show. And that is AJ Styles. And I also think there is the mystery surrounding this Chris Jericho show up. And I feel like that's the two biggest hooks you have if you're wanting to buy into this. That's not a knock on Kazarian or even Mike Santana, because you would think the way they're setting this up that Santana probably needs to win the title back here.
Yeah. That makes sense why you took it off him so quick too.
Right. Yeah. That would be the justification. Now, you could also say, does he win the title back and then Nick Nemeth cashes in? And, that'd be the ultimate kind of start, I think, if you want to get some buzz. But I think that's going to be the thing is, what is AJ Styles' role? Does he promise another match? All that kind of stuff. Is there any possibility Jericho shows up? I think if you were going to do that with Jericho, you should have at least dropped some hints somewhere to give people, because you want more people to watch. I just feel like they would have done that by now. But then again, maybe not. Yeah, I don't have a great sense that this is too, like, online buzz doesn't always tell everything, especially when it comes to WWE. Like, sometimes I think we overreact to, like, well, there's not a lot of buzz for this WWE show, and then there's 15,000 people in the audience that have paid $600 a ticket. But with TNA, if there's not a lot of online buzz, I think that tells you something, because I don't know that there's just a lot of people out there that, are just going to randomly stumble upon TNA. And so, yeah, I don't sense a lot of it right now, but this is where you have to kind of bring out you have to bring out your best, and having Styles will help the number a little bit, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
And it's just like sometimes you have to, like, look, you want surprises, yeah, no question about that. But you also need people to watch the show, and so that means like promoting a really good show. And so if you have Chris Jericho and he's gonna come in, and you're not, and you're not like promoting that, like yeah, you might get a fun surprise, but if no one sees it, does it really matter? Like, so I'm with you. I would do, if Jericho's coming in, I would promote it, or like just heavily hint it, a la CM Punk returning to AEW, right? Like they didn't announce it, but pretty much they did. That's what I would be doing here with Jericho. If I gave you 300,000 people on average viewership for the show tonight, would you take the under or the over on that?
I'd take the under. Because I guess my thing is, how much has WWE even promoted that AJ Styles will be on TNA? And maybe I'm missing it very much.
Not much. Well, and again, he's not having a match at this point, so like,
right, he's just gonna be there. Which it'd be different if he didn't come back at Slammiversary, I guess. But like, he has been back, so like it's right. And I'm not saying it's not still a big deal, but yeah, I mean, he's already been back once, so. I would go under. I don't sense a lot of buzz for this.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. So. And I'm a little surprised by that, just because you do have the WWE machine behind it here. But clearly they're not putting that machine behind this show. It's not their company, so I get that. We'll see. We'll cover this. We'll cover the first show. I'm not sure we'll give TNA. We only have so many hours of the day in the show, so we'll cover TNA when we need to, and certainly next week we'll talk a little bit about the AMC premiere. Let's move to some news nuggets though, and big one being Powerhouse Hobbs. Yesterday, Sean Ross Sapp reported late after Dynamite that Hobbs is out of contract with AEW as of midnight today, and that Hobbs is looking and is expected to join WWE in some capacity. The report from Sean indicated that they offered Hobbs a big contract, a substantial contract, to put that out there, just as Sean had it. But he's looking to try free agency and see what he can do elsewhere. So how big of a loss is this for AEW, Blake?
I mean, I feel like it kind of tells you the timing, because, I mean, knowing just kind of the way AEW has done this, like, he would not have been on TV probably this week. This has been something that had been on thing that's, like, long in the works, right? I feel like, and I know he was a champion, so it's kind of a unique scenario, but, like, you would just have to think that, man, maybe this kind of just sort of came out of nowhere for Tony Khan. I'm not sure, but I'm curious about that. But, yeah, I think it's a great addition for WWE. I mean, he's 34 in this era, like, that's young. Sure. It's still a young guy. So when you consider kind of how they're remodeling their roster on the main roster, at least you've got Obafemi coming up. Like, you're telling me like a WWE hoss fight between Obafemi and Powerhouse Hobbs wouldn't draw some attention? Of course it would. You've got other guys in there like Rusev, which, I'm sure they cross paths at some point, probably in AEW. All those guys like that. Again, you're talking just the style, right? That's the thing I'm thinking. But he's someone too that's proven that he can do a lot of different things. And I think that's where, again, like you talk about like the value in him having matches with Penta and guys like that, Ray Phoenix and Like I think he has kind of the foundation of someone who can work with a lot of different people. And I feel like that can be a big value in WWE right now. And he can work that style if he needs to. He can work, again, different styles that he's seen in AEW with some of those guys who've come over from there. And I mean, I feel like, too, isn't Punk? I feel like Punk was a big proponent of Powerhouse Hobbs when he was in AEW. So I think that helps. That helps, too, right? So, yeah, I think it's a very good addition for WWE. I know it's a crowded roster, but if this is the time where you're bringing up a lot of these, not necessarily new people, but if you're kind of refreshing the roster and you can add him in with an Obafemi, a Trick, Javon Evans, Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace, and so forth, that's a pretty good package of roster members that you're adding to the mix there.
And I think that he fits better in WWE. I mean, like he's not going to work, or not that I don't know whether or not he can or can't, but he's not going to work that, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher style, in AEW. I just don't think that's where his strength is. He's a lot more like Wardlow than he is those guys. The thing is, I think he's more dynamic than Wardlow. I think he has more of a personality than Wardlow does. I think he's got a higher upside from a character perspective. So you drop him into, the WWE machine, and you may see somebody that actually thrives more because he's in an environment where you don't have to work those kind of matches in order to get over. So assuming the money is the same, right? Assuming like, hey, both contracts are the same. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for trying WWE and being like, hey, like stylistically, this fits better. Opportunity, I've got a better one here. For his substantial of an offer that AEW made him, he never was really pushed as like a monster good guy or bad guy. Like he was kind of just like a role player, upper mid card jobber. I mean, like he was never presented as like the guy in AEW. And so, if you have that potential or you think you have that potential signing with a different company, man, provided the money is the same, you're going to take that. I think you're going to take that all day long.
Yeah. And I mean, Adam brings up a point. Does he go to NXT or main roster? Like, I know NXT is kind of bare now with all the call-ups, and maybe that's where he's headed, but I don't know. I think he's kind of the person that has, again, the foundation that probably there's somewhere you can put him on that main roster, especially with a 3-hour SmackDown now and all that. Like, even if you just kind of bring him in and kind of ease him into things. And that's the thing. Like, you want to basically present him the same way you're presenting Obafemi. That, maybe not. So maybe you do take him to NXT, and all of a sudden, he's one of the top guys there for a bit. But I don't know. It's crowded, so we'll see.
I think we talked about this last week. You can't, debut everybody on the main roster in the same way with the same kind of momentum and energy and pizzazz and promotion and hype. You can't do it, or else nothing stands out. So could he join the main roster right away? Absolutely. I mean, he's got plenty of experience on national TV. But I think he's better off in NXT.
Stands out.
A guy in NXT, stand out in NXT, and generate some momentum for yourself there. Yeah. That'd be my pick and my prediction. All right. We got to get on to name that main event. We got to get out of here a little earlier than usual today, folks. Let's do name that main event. Blake, I just don't want to miss a week of this because it's really fun.
All right. We're going to the 90s for this one.
Okay.
Because the 90s were an interesting period, as we know. But I'm going to take you back to an interesting year in the WWF, to say the least. We're going to go to this one. All right. And since we kind of talked about a theme of a certain place earlier, it is Diesel defending the WWF Championship against the British Bulldog, accompanied by Jim Cornette.
Is this the Beware of Dog in Your House? 97, 96?
So you got part of it right. This is 95, which is, again, traditionally known as the worst year for WWF ever. I don't know why. I am enamored by 95, too. I mentioned last week I was enamored by 93, but 95, I think, it gets a bad rap. I know how bad it was at the time, but there is some stuff that you go back and just like, okay, that's entertaining. 1995, and I brought up the Canada theme earlier. So this one was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Okay.
Which again, if there's a reason I'm bringing that up, if a certain someone debuts tonight on TNA, yes, it was In Your House 4, and the tagline for that one was, what was the tagline? Why am I not seeing this one? The Great White North. That's what it was.
Oh, so it wasn't Beware of Dog. It was In Your House, but
no.
Okay.
So Beware of Dog, I want to say was what was that one? I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe.
Yeah,
this was In Your House 4. Great White North, a pretty forgettable. As I looked back at the card, I was like, this is kind of a pretty forgettable card. But again, this was 1995. There are a lot of things like that. Razor Ramon defeated Dean Douglas for the Intercontinental Championship.
Who?
Yeah. King Mabel versus Yokozuna in a double countouts. Now there's a Hoss fight. Here's one that kind of ties in. Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeats Fatu. Of course, was Rikishi.
Wow.
And yeah. You had Razor Ramon actually pulled double duty on that night because the Smoking Guns beat Razor and 1-2-3 Kid for the tag titles. The dark match main event was Bret Hart defeating Isaac Yankem. So there you have it.
Wow, that's wild, man. I mean, when I read that or hear that card on paper, I'm like, dude, how did they sell tickets to that? How did they sell any tickets with that card like that? I mean, I guess Diesel was a big deal, but like. You see that card, you realize why 1995 was as down of a year as it was.
Yes, it's like one of those where you go back. I will go back and watch some of it. And I'm like, that wasn't as bad as I probably thought it was in my head, but that doesn't mean it's good. So,
yes, exactly. Yeah. And as Sean says here, Bret in a dark match on in Canada, In Your House. Imagine, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wild.
So,
all right, name that main event. Good stuff. Did In Your House 4. In Your House 4. We're going to put a bow on it there, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have friends that are wrestling fans, tell them about the show. We'd love to have some new folks join us on a week-to-week basis. We appreciate the support and momentum that you guys have all given the show as we've ramped up here. So we thank you for that. If you haven't subscribed to the Takedown on SI and YouTube, make sure to do that right away. And you get all sorts of content throughout the week. Also, make sure you're checking out the website, takedownonsi.com. We got all sorts of stories up every single day right now. We got details up on Tony Khan making some new signings in AEW. Nick Nemeth, speaking of, re-signing with TNA. The Undertaker talking about an old name and other stuff. So check that out, the Takedown on SI. You can follow the brand on socials, on X, at SI_wrestling. Blake, any final words?
No, like you said, it's watch TNA tonight. It's if you get a chance, watch it. It'll be good for everyone. Maybe we'll get some surprises. And yeah, we'll see how everything unfolds with WWE here, and AEW's still lengthy road to Revolution, I guess.
Yeah, boy. Not till March. That feels like an eternity away. Goodness gracious. We'll talk about it all. Keep it locked here. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. For Blake, I'm Zach. Talk to you soon. See ya.